All right, welcome to the monthly Koha-US general meeting. Um, this is our monthly hour dedicated to what the membership would like to discuss. And everybody is free to email agenda items to the secretary when the email goes out a couple of days before the meeting. So feel free to do that for next month. And yeah, uh, I guess we can get going. And let's see. Okay, so announcements. I think is Lizette here?
Yep.
I think Lizette was
Um,
gonna do a little follow-up discussion on Global Bug Squashing Week.
yeah,
So welcome, Lizette,
thank
and
you.
you have the floor.
Thanks. So last week was our Koha community global bug squashing week. We had different events all week. A few numbers. Oh, Jesse just put the playlist for all the videos in the chat. Um, we had a total of, oh, where did my totals go? There. A total of 52 bugs signed off last week, which is a pretty good number. We also had 52 new bugs submitted, which is also great. Always good to submit the bugs so we know what people are seeing. And we QA'd 47 bugs. They're not all past QA, but that's how many we tested. And failing QA is also an important way to move things along in the community. Our busiest day for each thing, we had 14 sign-offs on Thursday, the 26th. We had 21 QAs on Friday, the 27th. And we had 17 new bugs submitted on Wednesday, the 25th. Um, we got a lot of good turnout. Lots of people showed up. It was really great to interact with everybody in the community, and all the different things. And kind of one of the things is like to keep the momentum is a great thing from something like Global Bug Squashing Week. It can be a little harder when there's not like events every day, but just keeping up in the community, whether that's on Mattermost or bug discussions, and continuing to submit bugs and comment on those bugs when there's questions, or if someone has like a test plan, testing it is really helpful because then those can move along faster in the community, especially if there's something that like you've commented on or you are signed off on, or I mean, copied on and it's ready for sign off. If you can test that, that's super helpful. Everyone in the community is really great. If you're having trouble with sandboxes or Koha testing Docker, messaging in the Mattermost is great, or for Koha testing Docker stuff, reaching out to the baby devs special interest group, either come in or just sending an email to the mailing list that's linked on the website. We can help you out with troubleshooting your box, or if you're just not sure if you're doing something right on a test, we can also help you out with that. Um, and I don't know if David wants to talk at all about keeping momentum with documentation, or just keep doing documentation if that's where your strengths lie.
Yeah, no, we had a couple of people drop in, so that was great. And so hopefully we'll see them again, either helping them set up or just chatting about documentation and fixing things. Yeah, so it was good. Yeah, that was mainly Ord from Open5th and Philip from LMS Cloud in Europe. Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Gretchen, who's on our call today, who was able to sign off on her first bug during Global Bug Squashing Week. So shout out to Gretchen. Congratulations.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Thanks everybody, and great program. And yeah, we also had our education committee put on the dev forum as part of that. And I really enjoyed that. Anybody from the education committee want to join in, say hello, or don't want to put anybody on the spot? Okay.
I thought it went really well. Thanks, Bob,
Yeah.
for uh, being the moderator, and everyone for coming along. I was keeping an eye. I think there was about 60 people at one point. So oh, Jason's here. So yeah. So I think it went really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
A couple of people on the panel couldn't make it for various reasons, like snowed in and no power.
hmm
It was a good discussion.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Lizette and David, everyone. Appreciate that.
Jason was
And
in the
Jason,
background,
oh,
keeping everything running.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing
Jason,
exploded. It went
Well,
great. We're all happy. We'll
yeah.
have the video up as soon as we get the video.
hmm
I don't think that's been posted yet.
Okay.
yeah, and thanks for our panelists. And yeah, there was some weather issues, so that was a bit unfortunate, but that's life, really.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. I guess we can move on to the next thing, unless there's anything else about Global Bug Squashing Week. So I put on the announcements Hackfest in Marseille. It's probably too late to join in on that, but it's always fun to think about. Is anybody here going to attend? Or all right, Lizette. Yeah,
And Andrew.
Andrew. All right.
Yeah. And one thing is, even if you're not attending, you can still participate because we're probably going to have things that need sign off, hopefully. And so if in 2 weeks you have things that you're copied on that there's a lot of activity on about 5 to 8 hours ahead, depending on what time zone you're in,
Mhm.
because we'll be in France. Really helpful if you can test or participate in those discussions. So all the developers together don't accidentally do something. Uh, as developers sometimes have different ideas than librarians on how things should work.
Mhm.
And there are librarians that go from Europe, so there will be also librarians there. It's not just us. And Andrew, he helps with that.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, yeah. All right, sounds good. So let's see. Moving on to new business. Just a couple of updates about the annual conference. A call for proposals. I'm hoping to have that sent out by the end of this month, and be thinking about what people might want to learn about and hear about in August at our conference. The dates are August 18th through 20th in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So watch for that call for proposals. And mm, yeah, let me check my notes. Oh yeah, and we're going to try something new. We're going to try to line up the 2027 conference location sometime about May. So be on the lookout for that, and be thinking about whether your library, your site could host a conference in 2027. Hey, that's about it for that. And so we can move along to open discussion then. Um, we had nothing added to the agenda, but does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about
I do.
today? All right.
So, and Jason might want to chime in on this too, because
Mhm.
it's related to something that he and I worked on inadvertently last week, separately, but inadvertently and together. So I just wanted, Lizette was just talking about how it's important to make sure the developers don't do something that the librarians are going to regret. So I just casually, and this is what I wanted to get out of this. This is why it's important to be connected and to pay attention to what's happening on Mattermost and to pay attention to what's happening in Bugzilla. So there was a mention on Mattermost about bug 41788. And I'll put that in. Well, let me start off with talking about bug uh, 36455. This is a bug that Jason and the Baby Devs group helped get pushed through Koha. And what it does is when you go to circulation and you click on the holds queue, when the holds queue opens up, you don't have to go through the next step of clicking submit to get the holds queue for your library to come up. You just click on the holds queue and it automatically runs the holds queue for your library. And so that was bug 36455 that added that feature to Koha. And then shortly afterwards, like within a couple of months of that bug being pushed, there was a bug opened up that I'll talk about, that I'll get the link for here, 41788. And what it is suggesting is, it's saying, there is a problem for big libraries that have a really big holds queue. When they go to click on the holds queue button and it opens up, then it takes like a couple of minutes for that page to load because it's trying to run the holds queue for that library. And so there's some libraries that didn't like that effectively what happened is some people didn't like the addition of bugs 36455. So there was this bug filed by Donna from Bywater, I assume, saying, some libraries don't like that. Can we do something to make it optional whether or not this loads? And so then the developers looked at it and they said, is this really necessary? Why don't we just remove the patch that had just been added in 36455? People can fix that with jQuery if they want it to load automatically. And so I chimed in, and then Jason chimed in shortly after, saying, developers are always saying, if there's something that you're doing with jQuery that we can add to Koha, file a bug and we'll add it to Koha, and then you won't have to use that jQuery anymore. And that shifts the onus of maintaining that feature from the librarians to the developers. And so that was the question the developers had is they said, in order to make it optional, we have to add 15 lines of code and we have to maintain new code to do something that the librarians could do with 3 pieces of code. So why don't we just revert it back to the way it was and put the onus back on them to maintain this? And so that was kind of the argument that Jason and I both had is, we're trading one workflow for another. You guys are telling us that we should submit bugs saying, please patch this so that it can do what we want it to do. And now you're saying, well, you should just do that with jQuery. We should have never done this patch in the first place. And so it became a discussion item. And they've decided to go ahead and add the system preference that allows libraries to determine whether or not that loads automatically. So it'll work for larger libraries and smaller libraries the way we want it to. But that's one of the things, that's what I just wanted to say about this issue of development is this is why it's important to stay connected and pay attention and to follow things in Bugzilla and to keep an eye on Mattermost is so that when somebody says, hey, we've got this idea, that we make sure we get a lot of voices in there to talk about, what's going to work best for all of the libraries and who are we putting the burden of maintaining features on? Is it the librarians or the developers? So I just wanted to mention that and to say everybody stay out there and keep connected and watch Bugzilla and watch Mattermost and participate because otherwise we're going to end up with things in Koha that we don't want, which is not cool. So that's all I wanted to say. But I guess, does anybody have any questions about that, or does anybody else want to say anything about this particular issue? All right, that's all I wanted to say.
That was an interesting discussion to follow. And yeah. Yeah, I hope there's more discussion. I don't know where it was left off. Was it going to be moved off of Mattermost and into bug comments or?
The discussion was moved into the comments on bug 41788, and after some discussion, after looking at that, Emily, um, they're going to go ahead and push the changes into Koha so that there will be a new system preference that says, do you want the holds queue to run for the location you're at when you click the holds queue button? And if you don't want that to load, then there's a system preference to make it so that you have to go there with the holds queue not loaded automatically, and then you have to submit. So for my libraries, there are very few times when there's more than like 30 or 40 things in the holds queue. So it makes sense for them if they're going to go there and use that to just click holds queue and go right to the downloadable holds report. But I can see where if you were at a really big library and you had a couple of hundred things on the holds queue report, that you would want to filter it before you run it. So both options will be available after this bug is pushed. It's out of in discussion and it's back to signed off, so it's ready for the QA process.
Okay. All right. Thank you, George. Anybody else have a comment or a new topic for discussion?
I have a new different bug touching on questionable things developers do. Uh, so I ran into bug 41604 this morning. One of my libraries was like, hey, why do I have a check-in column on my checkouts table? And I'm like, that shouldn't be there because we hide it with the table settings. And apparently what happened was they decided that permissions and system preferences should take precedence over the table settings. So anybody with a certain permission sees that check-in column, even though I've hidden it with the table settings. So that's a problem for us because we need to have that hidden at all times, because if people start using that, it creates problems. So I don't really want to go through and take away, I think it's the circulate remaining permissions, one of those mysterious ephemeral circulation permissions, from everybody, just so that they can't see that column anymore. So I thought I'd toss the bug out there for discussion, because it is in discussion right now.
Okay.
And it does look like there's a patch on that bug that does the thing Jason wants, but it's sort of waiting for various users gesturing at all of you to come along and say, yes, this is what we want it to do.
We just ran into that, and another library just ran into that, and it's like, are we losing our minds? We thought we used to have some jQuery to hide all that until they incorporated that into the table settings. But yeah, suddenly it just started appearing, and what's frustrating is that you can say, "Oh, I want to hide this," and you make it so you can't change it, but it doesn't change it for the columns that are already showing. You have to actually turn off the setting that prevents people from switching that, go into their account, show the table, and then tell it to not show it, and then you have to turn that setting off. So it's just like you can't force it to not be there, which is really frustrating.
Yeah. It's an interesting discussion. 30274. So any other topics out there?
Oh, I have
Questions?
I have a quick one I just want to bring up. We are getting close to May, where we've been doing our Koha Community Challenge, and we were just talking about it at Bywater, getting ready to start setting everything up. And we wanted to open discussion here to see how people liked the current platform that we're using, which is Challenge Hound. When we originally started the Koha Community Challenge, we used something called Run Sign Up, for those who remember in the early days. And we switched to Challenge Hound because it had a lot more integrations with existing watches or mobile apps that you were using to track your activities. And so before we dive into things again this year, we just wanted to get some feedback and see what people thought about Challenge Hound and if they were okay with that and who's excited to do this year's Koha Community Challenge, because we sure are.
I will say administratively, Challenge Hound has not given us any issues whatsoever. And in fact, it works better than Run Sign Up did for a number of different reasons.
Wonderful. And for those, just to be transparent, all money that is submitted for participating in the Koha Community Challenge goes directly to koha-US. And John every year has been wonderful to help us set up and make sure that the money goes directly to koha-US. And then Bywater Solutions donates the cost of the t-shirts that get sent to everyone in the mail.
Yeah, thanks, Jessie. Yeah, I'm happy with the Challenge Hound app, even though I didn't log anything last year, but still participated. Yeah. So great. Thanks for bringing that up.
Is it just called Challenge Hound?
Yeah, that's the name of the software that we've been using for people to like register and sign up. Now, like
Okay.
if you have, I don't know all the different devices that are out there, but like Fitbits or Apple Watches or Garmin's, most of those do just sync, with the platform. So if you go for a walk or a bike ride or a run or, whatever type of activity, generally it just syncs with the platform. Maybe Strava's another one. But
And it's just a website, or is it an app?
I think there's both a website
Okay.
and an app.
Okay. Thanks, Jessie.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to that and
Okay.
doing much better this year. So, all right. Anybody have any other topics?
I just have a quick shout out to remind people that the development committee will be meeting on Thursday, the 19th. I'll send out a reminder like I typically do, double checking the time on that. I want to say it is at noon US Eastern time. And I'm posting a bug in the channel here, the chat channel. This is one of the 2 bugs that had been on the development page as a future development to consider. The other development has been removed because it's incorporated into the work for acquisitions 2.0. So because this one was still hanging out there, I did open a ticket with Bywater to ask that this be added to the crowdfunding board. The Bywater team has a couple questions about it before they craft a crowdfunding board post for it. So if you are curious about your multi-volume works and being able to check out or put holds on more than one copy of multi-volume work on the same bib, bring your thoughts to the development committee meeting and we'll look at it together.
I want to second that. We discussed a lot of different ways that functionality could be achieved. It's not entirely clear. There's no single answer to how to look at a bib and figure out whether all of the items on the bib are the same thing or different things, like multiple volumes of a thing. So yeah, holding records would be a way to know that. So yeah, if you have thoughts and feelings on that matter, please do come to the dev committee.
Or on other things that you'd like to be on the upcoming vote, or Koha-US's contribution to development funding. Bring those thoughts to the meeting as well.
I should jump in here and like shout out my bug too. But series sorting was something that came up at a cataloging SIG meeting, so I've been pushing for that one to get onto the crowdfunding site. I need to respond to Andrew. He sent me a ticket, but I was out. But we're getting that one up on the crowdfunding site as well. So if that's something you're interested in championing as a development that Koha-US funds, please do come to the committee and voice your opinions, sort of thing.
Are you talking about in the OPAC or
both? I think.
Both.
So
Right.
staff side and OPAC. I hope it covers the OPAC because we're still one of those OPAC users. We're not Aspen. But also it's largely requested by my librarians and the staff client just so that they can pull up a list of series in order. Because right now you can't do that.
Yeah, a lot of comments. Huh.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, thanks, Kristi and Jason. Appreciate it. And does anybody else have anything to bring up?
Well, I'll bring up something that, so yesterday I attended my first AspenCon 2026 conference committee meeting because somehow or another I managed to get on that conference committee. There are going to be, we're working on, one of the things we're working on was sponsorship, the sponsorship question. The AspenCon is going to be October 28th through 30th in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And as we were getting ready for looking over the sponsorship document that's being sent out, the question crossed my mind: does Koha-US want to be a sponsor of AspenCon and have a table and a presence there where we can sit and answer questions and have pamphlets and that kind of stuff. And I don't expect to make a decision on that today, but I thought I would throw that idea out there because it would be a way to interact with other Koha users that might not be participating in Koha-US, because there are a lot of Aspen libraries that are using Koha. So I thought I'd throw that out there since we seem to have hit a lull in the conversation.
All right, yeah, that seems definitely worth discussing, and yeah, it might be an opportunity to talk to non-Koha libraries about Koha while they're gathered there to talk about Aspen. So yeah.
Once once the documents are available for sponsorship opportunities, I'll make sure that one goes to the Koha-US board.
All right, thank you.
I don't know how many people are planning on going to AspenCon, but I will be, so I would certainly be willing to spend some time sitting at a Koha-US table if we decide to do that. So
yeah.
I could do some of that too, George.
All right. Yeah, I'm pretty likely to be there as well. So all right, great. And I noticed Christopher just posted a link to the developer forum recording. So that's been posted now. And all right, are there any other topics for discussion or questions or comments? Was thinking about bringing up 2511, which some of us might be already on and some of us might be headed to in a couple of months. And are there any? Oh, all right, Katrina, thanks. The upgrade hub for Bywater has been posted in the chat, and yeah, so one thing I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping it makes it in there, is being able to display the borrower's last seen date, where circulation can easily say it in the patron record. I forget what that panel's called, but I think that's coming in 2511.
And I'll just give a plug for the education team who's going to be leading the What's New webinar on the 17th. So the registration link is there in the hub. Go ahead and register for it. Even if you're not able to attend, we'll send out the recording so that you've got that to, I don't know, if you're like me, watch on time and a half later when you have space and time for it. But we'll be sharing everything that we're excited, kind of an amalgamation of some of the things you've already seen in the Monday minutes in a little bit more detail.
Mhm. All right, thank you. Let's see. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Andrew has posted the borrowers last seen is going to be there. So that's great.
Which was easy to find in the release notes that are helpfully linked off of the upgrade hub that Katrina linked. So if you want to go look through what's in 2511, that's
Mhm.
that's the very comprehensive way, but they've got some more curated lists of things they're guessing folks will be excited about too.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, thanks. Ooh. George posted a link. Oh, the SIP configuration. Yeah, that's going to be handy. Seems like a popular one. All right. Yeah. Yeah, we won't need to bother. Those of us who are Bywater customers won't need to bother the systems team as much once this is set up, I
They will
guess.
still be happy to answer questions about how SIP works, but I think a lot of you will be very happy to be able to just look at that stuff directly
Mhm.
rather than asking
Oh,
us
yeah.
to remind you of the thing that we set up for you.
Mhm.
I think there's going
All
to be
right.
a lot more. Man, they can do this themselves now.
I will miss the interactions with Todd because Todd always seems to get the SIP questions I have. And then it becomes a chain of, oh, you mean this? No, I mean this. No, I mean that. Oh, well, wait a minute. What about this? So
Okay. Great, great. Jason posted one for adding additional custom mark fields in the record display. That will be handy. Um, what would be a use case for that? Trying to think.
So that might be they want to show a certain field on the results that's uncommon, but like maybe this academic library always wants to show random
Mhm.
fields in the results. I don't have a good example because Lucas always handles these tickets. But
Mhm.
right now in Koha, they require custom XSLT, which is one giant file that determines which mark fields show on any screen that mark fields show on. And every time there's an update, you have to like back up the XSLT because it will get overwritten and then put it back in. So it's like not very sustainable.
Well,
So
there's
this
a way
mod,
around that, which is you can put the XSLT in a different folder entirely and just change the path.
yeah.
But
Um,
but yeah, this one would be really useful for me, not just the author's catalog, but in our general OPAC. I'd like to display the 856Z, which has useful information. So yeah,
Hmm.
I just might be tempted to upgrade for that.
I'm pretty tenacious about going in and learning how to do something like with jQuery and CSS and HTML and all of those things I learned to help support Koha. And I looked at XSLT and I said, screw that.
I will say it's very long, very complicated, and very easy to break.
Hmm.
It's possible, but not the easiest thing in the world to cope with.
Mhm. Okay. Um, let's see. David has posted in the chat. Adding information about the list of. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, the current form just has a list of codes. So unless you know what the
Okay.
codes mean, It's might be gobbledygook. So so this enhancement will tell you what those codes are. So
Okay.
it might not be in 2511, but one of those improvements that might make it back.
Yeah, the gulf between visibility and understandability, because SIP is kind of complicated.
But it's still not as bad as XSLT.
No. All right. Ooh. Anybody else have anything? No. Oh, patch modify holds. Katrina posted in chat.
Nice.
Yeah, that would be handy. And it's yeah.
For a library like ours, where we have schools that close every summer, this is a huge time saver.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything right now? Or?
Is it just me or okay? Sorry, this is a general question to the group, and our Bywater people would know better, but do the webinars for the upcoming release or upgrade, are those webinars closer to the upgrade than they used to be? It seems like we used to have them further out to where we could chew on things more, and it seems like they're right up against the upgrades more lately.
We
I
try
could
to do
just be
them about
imagining that.
we try to do them about a month before we move all of our partners in production. So that timing of 1 month before everybody moves isn't new. It might be the test servers and early adopters are going closer to that than in the past.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, yeah, our test server does get upgraded sooner, but God, it seems like when we first uh, when we were first getting those webinars, it seemed like they were more than a month in the past. I could just be imagining it though.
I think I think the issue that you're thinking of is that Bywater used to not have everybody upgrading like the same block of time, because I know, and the reason that this might seem weird to some of the other people here that might not remember it is because we're talking about like 12 years ago, Christopher. So yeah, like 10 years ago, there was a little bit more time, it seemed like, because they weren't all happening at the same, all of the upgrades weren't happening in the same week. You know, there were Bywater was doing the training, and then there would be some libraries that would go like a couple weeks later, and some libraries that would go like 6 or 7 weeks later. I think that might be what you're thinking of, because when there were fewer libraries and it was just Larry doing the upgrades on a Friday night, there was they were more staggered, and so I remember situations then where we would do the training, and then it'd be like 2 or 3 weeks before the upgrade, and then there would be the next upgrade. It would be we would do the training, and then it might be like 6 or 7 weeks before we did the upgrade, and it was because they were happening at staggered intervals for different people, and we could actually call Bywater and say, you know, this is bad timing for us. Can you push it back a couple of weeks? But they're trying to get it all done in the same in a shorter window of time, and so there's, I think, more consistency for everybody happening within like a month of the training. So
I think you're right. And
well, of course I'm right.
Yeah, and
unfortunately, that's being recorded too. So
And the consolidation of those is exactly right, George. It's a way for us to be able to better support our partners when everybody goes on to the same build at the same time, rather than trying to figure out as we're answering tickets through the course of over a month when they're spread out this way, like what version are they on? What point release? Do they have this bug? They're seeing this. And it also makes it easier on our systems team to administer those upgrades.
And if something slips under the radar, it affects everybody at the same time. So your problem is my problem.
Think about
But yeah, it does narrow that training window, and I think that's something that I do miss is I used to take advantage of jumping on those trainings way earlier than we would get upgraded, so that I could prepare myself more. I don't know. I'm picky. I'd like to sit in on those trainings a little bit sooner than later, but that's just me.
I'm the same way, Christopher. I always like to know ahead of time what was coming and kind of look at it and let the staff know, and they could look at it. And I
So
agree.
then I'll put it back to the group. What would be your ideal if a month is not enough time? What would be your preferred window for when those What's New webinars should happen?
29 days.
I would say no more than a couple months, because I know that you guys have a lot to handle in that as well. But if there was another month in there, it gives us a little bit more time to chew on that and prepare for that. How far in advance? Remind me, how far in advance does the test servers and the early adopters get upgraded over the general release?
I knew you were going to ask a technical question that I didn't have the calendar up in front of me. For this release, test servers are going the week of March 9th, so next week. And then mid-April is the no, sorry. Upgrade test servers and early adopters is April 6th, the week of April 6th. Thank you, Andrew. Everything written out. Also on the upgrades page. Thank you.
Okay, so April 6th, and then production servers are upgraded when again?
April 20th through the 23rd that week.
So we're only getting a 2-week window there for anybody to catch anything, and one thing that I have learned that some of the major issues that we've run into in the past are not caught on test servers. Early adopters, yes, but that's a small window, and it seems like
the early adopters will go on March 9th.
Oh,
we'll just
okay.
get the point upgrade on April 6th. So any bugs that have been found will be updated and patched on those sites for early adopters in April.
But yeah, it seems reasonable that, if, I know that the release notes are out there. I get more out of the webinars and the trainings of the major releases than I do sifting through all of the release notes. And, I'm just thinking, if you want your early adopters and people with test servers to be able to catch things sooner, having those trainings, in advance of those early releases are going to be more helpful, because then I like, it helps me to get things on my radar, what to be watching out for and what to be playing with on the test servers and stuff, so that I can. But then again, I'm going to backtrack here. I think that the things that are highlighted aren't necessarily the things that are going to go wrong. I think it's the things that fly under the radar that tend to go wrong more than the things that are highlighted in the webinar. So, you know, it could go either way.
My opinion, now that Christopher's said all that, my opinion is that I think a month is okay for us. But I think the reason that I'm feeling that it's okay for us is because of the work that Nick and Jessie are doing in the Monday Minutes. They're covering a lot of the bigger new features far enough in advance in the Monday Minutes that I feel like that I know what a lot of the bigger features are going to be before you even do the webinars. And so I've kind of got an idea of what those things are going to be. And so when it does come time to do training and testing for our staff at our libraries after the webinar, I feel like that I can spend more time focusing on the things that aren't covered in the Monday Minutes, that I can look for those things. And it's always that's what I always find is no matter what the training is, the things that staff are going to latch onto, that they're going to go, oh my God, this is horrible, or I don't like this at all, are the things that people don't even think about as uh, as big deals. It'll be like, this button is moved from here over to here, or the when the nav bar changed, it used to be all the search the catalog, patrons, all that stuff used to be underneath the input box, and now they're over here on the side. That's just, I mean, I had people ready to quit their jobs and and go into early retirement just because they had to go from clicking something here to something over here. And then after like 2 weeks on the new version, it was like, well, they don't even remember that it was different. But those are the things that I always find that people that people are surprisingly irritated about or annoyed with or don't understand, is when something totally trivial happens. It's the big features they could care less. It's you moved a button. That's what gets people going. So I'm happy with the month, but primarily because Jessie and Nick are doing such a good job of preparing us for what's coming in those new versions in advance. So
Yeah, it's got to be a balancing act. I'm kind of happy with the month as well, although we're small one location library, and we're a little bit more nimble, I guess, than a lot of locations. Yeah, so good discussion. And is there anything else anybody would like to bring up? We've got 6 or 7 minutes left. There's nothing else. Let's see, going once, going twice. If
I have a thing.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, hey.
Presentation proposals are currently open for KohaCon 2026, and they close March 14th. It's in Karlsruhe, Germany, October 5th through 8th, I think. And here's the 5th through 9th. Here's the website for it, and there's a link to the call for presentations on there. Oh,
Okay.
David also got it.
All right. All right. Thanks. The deadline's coming up pretty quickly, and a trip to Karlsruhe might be nice. Let's see. So I guess we can kind of wrap things up a couple of minutes early. Please, if you have ideas in advance for discussion at the meeting, feel free to email me, or when the agenda comes up, add them to the agenda. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Any other comments, questions, or? Okay. Well, yeah, this will give the conference committee a little chance to take a break before our next meeting. And yeah, so thanks everybody.
Yep.
And
See you later.
appreciate everybody who participated, commented, and we'll see you next month. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you all later.
All right, see ya. Renee, I guess you're still host. If you could end it for all, thanks. All right, see you soon.